Hello and welcome to The Kerner Show. I'm your host, Gavin Harris, and today I'm joined by Simon Caddy, who is one of the directors at GyllyTech. Simon.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining me.
You're welcome, mate.
Lovely. I want to start this off. So, GyllyTech, managed IT services. In layman's terms, how does GyllyTech help businesses? Can you give us a little bit of breakdown of what IT managed services means?
So, managed services, traditionally IT company is someone you phone when it breaks. And that's,
I think we've all seen the IT crowd, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Have you turned it on and off again? But ultimately, managed services is about being that proactive and looking at what could break. Also, in sort of the IT world now, everything's all about security. Mm-hmm. So rather than just looking at how you do your job, you've got to think of the security aspect of it. Because even if you're a small business, as far as the cyber criminals are concerned, you're an IP address.
Right.
And I can contact them, they can try and get your data. Any data is worth something to someone.
And because we're all connected to the internet, everything's connected to the cloud. Yeah. So it obviously makes businesses a lot more susceptible to cyber crime. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Sounds very futuristic when I say it out loud. Cyber crime. Sorry, please do continue.
So managed services is all about that proactive, looking at the whole business rather than just sort of solving a problem or something's broken, let's fix it this time. If there's a problem, it's looking at the reason behind it as well, not just fixing the problem, plaster fixing it, moving on. It's having the full plan, and we try to be more of a partner with our customers.
Amazing.
One thing we've sort of introduced in the last few months, in particular, to try and help that is on a quarterly basis, we'll sit down and not just talk about IT, but talk about their business, where they want to be.
Right.
Lots of times people come to us and say, "Oh, we need a server to do this." Okay, but why do you think you need a server? Yep. Maybe there's a better way of doing it, but also, if you get this server now, where do you want to be in 5, 6, 7 years time? Because that server should last you look good 5 to 7 years. Right. 5 years is sort of where you need to start looking at. It's time to think about replacing it or doing something different, and by 7 years it should be gone. Right.
Okay. And is that due to the way that technology is kind of moving forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's technology. Software is something that people don't think about. As I'm sure we've all noticed, especially Google Chrome.
Yep.
The more and more tabs you have open, and everything's getting bigger and bigger, which means the hardware needs to be able to cope with more of that.
Yeah.
So trying to look into the future to think, where are you now? So you say you've got 10 employees now. That's awesome. Where do you want to be in 5 years? If you want to be still 10, then we can keep it the same. But if you're looking to grow to 50, that server needs to be able to cope with 50 now.
Got you.
Or at least be capable of being upgraded to that point later down the line.
Right.
Because PC servers, all hardware, have a maximum capacity.
Right. Okay.
So,
does that? And again, I'm a little bit kind of computer literate, but would that be the actual computer itself, or because or the actual server itself, as opposed to, because obviously you have a specific computer will have the RAM, graphics cards, etc. What's the kind of main differences there? Or is that a question? Have I asked a question there? I don't even know if that is a question.
Yeah. So the PC. So within the PC, like you say, you've got your RAM and processors, but the motherboard will have a limit of what it can take. Right. Okay. So say you've got, like you say, 8 gigabytes of RAM now, which is our standard for a business machine. You need to have at least 8 gigabytes to run smoothly into normal office machine. That might be that machine's maximum though. So if you get further down the line and you need a bit more power, you're then in the situation you need to buy a whole new machine, as opposed to perhaps being able to put another, well, we call them sticks, stick of RAM, which is just a little circuit board, pop it in, and you can double that to 16 or further, depending on what that motherboard can handle.
And your 3 monthly reviews, I guess is a fair way of calling it, you would kind of run through a business, so I suppose it would be almost a managed services audit?
Yeah. So we'll sort of review what problems that have been reported by their team as well, because I think a lot of time it's not something that's on a lot of people's agenda. On their team meetings, they don't discuss it. No. So if we can report back what their team are telling us, they might not even realise they have a particular issue. Right. So if we've had 8 out of those 10 employees moan about a particular piece of software, we can then look at what is that software? Is it time to change the software? Is it the hardware can't cope with it anymore?
Yep.
Is it the network that's not coping? And put a plan in place to solve that. Because what lots of people don't take into account, so that bit of software might be a little bit slow, and it's slow again. But when you actually look at that, that's even so. Say they're losing half an hour a day waiting for something to happen. Times that by, I'm going to go by 10 because it's easier. Yep. 10 employees having that same half an hour.
Yep.
That's 10 hours. That's more than a working day you've lost every day in man hours.
Yeah.
So trying to sort of explain it and look at it in that context, as opposed to looking at, it's a new PC, it's going to cost me 500-600 quid. Yeah, but how much is that your team losing by not being able to do their job and be proactive?
Yeah. Definitely productivity. I mean, I've worked in within organisations where they've really kind of scrimped on the software and the hardware that we're using, and like you say, that those lost man hours, if you will, they do add up. They really, really do. And do you know what? It's not even the time that you're down, but also it's that getting back into the working aspect of it as well. So I imagine what you guys offer. Somebody could do it themselves. They could have that kind of DIY approach. What are the benefits of using an organisation like yourself to kind of manage the full IT aspect there?
So you've got one aspect, obviously, being you don't have to do it yourself. So there's, I think a lot of people don't realise how much time it does take sometimes. And me coming from sort of that, because I was internal IT first before I was with Gilly, and I used to have the same thing. So the guys we used to use, we would sort of pay for something we don't do, but we'd pay for like a block of hours.
Yep.
And at the end of the month, you go, well, where have all those hours gone? Because you just don't realise the time that's involved in it.
Yep.
Which is why our packages aren't based on number of hours.
Yeah.
But sorry, mate, what was the question?
What would be the positives, the benefits of using an organisation? And also, I mean, again, if you want to break into it as well, what would be the implications if somebody didn't have their managed services set up correctly as well?
Yeah, so by using us as well, so we serve a wide range of businesses, but we concentrate on hospitality, financial services, and veterinary. So we kind of already know the challenges that similar businesses face. Every business is different. Every hotel is slightly different. But ultimately, some of the bigger, wider challenges, a lot of them will share, and some of them won't even realise they have. So we can take our experience from working with one hotel in Falmouth and take that to a hotel in Padstow and say, well, these guys have experienced this problem. We've just solved it by doing this, and they've seen benefits of sort of productivity. They can get more people through the door. Their reviews on TripAdvisor have gone up because they're no longer moaning about Wi-Fi, which I'm sure is the bane of many a hospitality thing. We've got 10, 10, 10 Wi-Fi, 1, and that's dragging down their overall score.
Yeah.
But we can take that what we've learned elsewhere and bring it to other people and sort of spread that across our client base. So everyone benefits from our expertise. So again, when we're having that quarterly meeting, we can bring those things up. Have you thought about this? Because we've just seen it down in Falmouth, and they've seen this massive growth. Have you considered doing it here for you? And we can do the same thing for you.
Are you able to share, and again, I appreciate you probably have client confidentiality, but are you able to share an issue that maybe, like an example of maybe something that somebody's experienced, and then you've kind of gone to somebody else and you've said, hey, look, these guys are experiencing this. Do you have any kind of examples you can share with us?
Yeah, so before I came down today, so I was having a look at a site survey for guest Wi-Fi. So we did a caravan park down in sort of Portreath area. Yeah. They were with a sort of national firm that their guests used to have to then charge for the Wi-Fi to use it. Yep. As it happens, it's the same kit we use. So we've gone down there, taken it over, sort of reset it, reconfigured it our way. And he was just going through his reviews with me. And before we'd taken over, he was getting sort of 2-3 stars for Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, yeah.
Since we've taken over, every review has been 10 out of 10, except for one that gave him 8 out of 10.
Very nice.
And that was, again, it was dragging down his overall score.
Yeah.
But he's a very good one as well, to be fair. He's getting 9.8 out of 10 on TripAdvisor, so, he's doing well. So any docking, it irks him a bit. He wants to be up there.
Of course, yeah. That's interesting because kind of looking at it from an outside perspective as well, and looking at it from a consumer, if I go somewhere, we sometimes eat out down in Charlestown. If we get down to Charlestown and the restaurant doesn't, or the bar doesn't have Wi-Fi, I'll always be a bit like, oh, I can't check my emails, even though I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
We're almost, I think the general public, we're almost a little bit spoiled now, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. It's expected.
Yeah.
100%.
It really is. Even though you have your data, but if you're in a place that perhaps doesn't have, being in Cornwall as well, if we're somewhere that doesn't have great signal, like you say, so it is incredibly important. And again, the flip side of it, what are the implications if somebody isn't doing it themselves, or perhaps somebody doesn't use a company like yourself? Yeah. Well, I imagine probably the worst case scenario, this may not be worst case scenario, but worst case in my head would be, your website being taken over by cyber criminals. And you please do, you tell me, scare us.
so websites, like you say, if they're taken down, and we work with Sanders Design. So they do our website.
Martin's a good guy.
Yeah, Martin looks after our website. He's just recently redesigned it, and I love it.
He's so good. He's coming on the podcast soon as well.
Is he?
Yes,
cool.
Yeah, we'll get him on there. Yeah.
So we've kind of got, so like you say, you've got the website, but then something people don't think about is their emails. Yeah. Everyone still lives in their emails. We've got everything else like Teams and Zoom and everything like that, but ultimately everything still comes down to emails. One bit of advice I'd say to everyone, I'm sure everyone knows that their passwords should all be different, but at least make sure your email password is different. Mainly because what do you do if you've forgotten a password? What do you do?
Reset.
Yeah, and where does that email go?
Your email address.
Exactly. Yeah. So if your email address, if your password is the same for Facebook, and as we all know, Facebook has many a breach. Mm-hmm. So if a password has been breached with your email address and password for Facebook, those cyber criminals can get that and instantly try to hack in. And you could say, well, how do they know if I'm on G Suite? I can tell whether you're on G Suite or 365. I can put in your domain into a search, and it will tell me in the back end of sort of the records, it's your MX record.
Yep.
And Office 365 has Office in it, Microsoft Office, and then Google has Google. So if you're on one of those, they also know how to try and get to you. Wow. Get into your emails. So that sort of thing is quite easy. And then, like you say, once they've got into your emails, they're free to reset almost any password.
I remember I had a scary moment. It's probably 10 years ago now. Yeah. But I had an email come through, and it was one of the ransom. I don't know if it was like a ransomware. Mm-hmm. I wasn't running my own business, but had an email come through saying, we know your password, and it was an old password. I'll share it now. It's 587878go with a capital G. Yeah. Don't use that anymore for obvious reasons. But I had an email come through saying, hey, we know your password is this. Yeah. Unless you pay X amount to this, I think it was a Western Union account or something. Yeah. Unless you pay X amount to this, we're going to basically destroy all of you. And I was like, oh my God. But luckily I had changed my password at that stage. But I was like, how did they get that? And when I did a bit of research into it, I didn't realise it at the time, but if you have, I mean, again, I'm just using this as an example, not spurious claim or anything, but like MySpace, for example, I probably would use that password on my old MySpace account. Yeah. If that website gets compromised and for whatever reason those passwords do get leaked, that's where it comes from. So it could be, like you say, using the same password across everything can be quite dangerous. Yeah, and there's password managers out there that can scan the dark web to find out any issues that might be relevant. So we offer our clients a password management solution, but there's also a free one that everyone can use. I think it's still free, called Dashlane. Okay. And that will, as part of that, sort of the free version, will look at your email address and flag user passwords and stuff that it thinks could have been compromised. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So you've given us a little bit of advice there already. Any other actionable advice that you could give our listeners when it comes to their IT managed services? I imagine probably the first one is, look, if you're in doubt, speak to us. Yeah. Of course. But anything that anybody could kind of take away from this as well, no matter how small, insignificant, please do share. I think, like you said, the risk of not using sort of professional is, IT is a massive beast. Yeah. And there's so many aspects of it and that's why we work well with the team. So our team is sort of 6 strong, including a couple of our subcontractors, and we have different areas of expertise. So mine is very much sort of networking and that side of things, how that talks to that.
That's what I'm sad, but I enjoy that.
Hey, you find your passion and you bounce in it, don't you? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So the Wi-Fi side of things for me and the sort of CCTV that we do, that's sort of my passion of what we do. But then Ian, my co-director, he's very sort of the desktop based, how that works, and making sure that end user experience is as good as it can be. And there's definitely a lot of, without using, is using our expertise to get the best experience for you, and that productivity of your staff is so often overlooked. And yes, you can sort of help each other out a little bit in the office, but again, that productivity, if someone's spending half an hour helping someone else because Outlook's crashed, if they've put a call in, they can put a call into us and we can respond within sort of however many hours, normally within 4 hours, we can respond. If we're free, then we'll always try and beat it. But having that smooth business process so that you're not losing productivity and professionalism as well.
Yes.
There's nothing worse, again, going back to hospitality, there's nothing worse than your phone, oh, sorry, my computer's crashed.
Yeah.
We've all had that phone call with the hotel receptionist. Oh, sorry, I'm just waiting for my computer.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for them, but also such kind of, without trying, that subconscious is going, okay.
Yeah.
Why is that? I think probably me more so than anyone else. No.
But I think society in general, we've become a lot more impatient, haven't we? And I tried to explain. So I've got a 12-year-old daughter, and I tried to explain to her the other day about dial-up and when dial-up first came up, and how quickly technology has progressed, even in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And if for whatever reason the internet's down at home for whatever reason for 30 minutes, it's like the end of the world. Oh my gosh.
My girls are the same. Paw Patrol's not working. Well, you just have to watch what's on TV.
Yeah.
I want to watch another episode of that. Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
yeah. That's exactly it. So sorry. Going back to actionable advice. Obviously, speaking to yourself. What else could let's say a startup business or a small business with 3 employees? What could they do to protect themselves from cybersecurity? To maybe make their business more efficient technology-wise?
Yeah, so there's something that's always worth following. When you start as well, think about the long-term goal, where you want to be. So we have taken over, when we've sort of been their first IT provider for certain companies, you kind of go from, they've grown, I was talking to one a few, just in the last couple of weeks, they've grown from sort of 1 to 15, 2 of them being in France. Wow. The rest of the sales team spread out across the UK. But they've got no central file storage. They've got a bit of Dropbox, bit of G Suite, bit of OneDrive. Everything's all over the place. And they've got to that point now. They've gone, So start as you mean to go on.
Right.
So have a look at, even if it's just using, so Office 365 has so many things and they keep adding more and more to it. But the biggest thing, if you go for, say they've called it business standard now. So go for that license. You have a terabyte of storage for each employee. So if you've got 3, you've got 3 terabytes of storage.
Who's that with? Sorry, is that with?
It's Microsoft.
Microsoft, yeah.
Microsoft 365. Sorry.
Is that OneDrive?
Yeah, so that's OneDrive.
OneDrive, yep.
You've got your business emails included.
Yep.
The 365 has those basics included. There's definitely add-ons you need to look at later on down the line. Mm-hmm. But whilst you're still small, if you just make sure you've got that set up properly. And even if it's a case of you go to someone like ourselves to get that set up, because there's a few little traps. Microsoft's a lot better now than it used to be, but especially in the early days, it was set up and it had loads of security holes and you had to go and plug them.
Yep.
So they are a lot better now. So things like 2-factor authentication is included as standard and you have to turn it off.
Yep.
Don't turn it off.
No.
So 2-factor authentication is when you either have to use an application or a text message to put in the code. I know it takes a little bit longer.
Yep.
But the security benefits is there. So again, even if you had that password compromise like we were saying earlier,
yep.
Without your phone or another device, the cybercriminal can't get in.
Right.
It gives you that extra layer of protection, which is so important.
So you've given us a few there, really. So number 1, plan for the future.
Yeah.
Don't take, kind of, I'm guessing on a whim, just kind of go, yeah, do you know what, we're just going to go for Dropbox, for example. Think about where you're going to be in a year, 2 years. If you're going to invest in a server, and make sure you invest in the right server that's going to be right for you in 5-7 years' time. 2-factor authentication. Again, I'll be honest with you, I'm a huge fan of that. When I first started using it, I was like, oh God, this is an absolute nightmare. But with now, obviously, with what I do with social media and look after 30 clients, different clients' passwords and kind of everything in between, really, really important. So yeah, that's really, really good. In terms of, and again, I've kind of segued us there by accident, actually. No, I meant to do it. Social media wise, what does social media mean to GyllyTech? I know you guys are quite active. I know you guys, especially on Facebook. What does social media mean to you guys?
So I think it's for us is about. So I believe in helping businesses to succeed using their technology. Social media to me is kind of a way of giving little bits of advice and pointing them in the right direction. Hopefully, sort of, I post quite a bit of sort of news that's going on as well, and if we see sort of relevant security threats, we try and put that out there as well. So hopefully that someone, even if one person sees that, it might save them from the pain of being hacked, or and just again to make people think about it.
Yeah, that's it's beautiful as a resource space, definitely. And like you say, and I have seen a lot of what you guys post, and like you say, there's lots of relevant information on there that is definitely helpful to businesses. At this stage, and thank you very much for coming to see me today. I really appreciate you being a guest. I'd like to just give you this opportunity, just a 60-second pitch, if you will.
Okay.
Just to tell us why people should reach out to you and what they can expect if they reach out to you.
Yeah, so we've also, if you reach out to us, then we're looking at helping you on your business journey. We're not looking at just fixing problems. Ultimately, that is what we want to do. But the sort of project work to get things right from day one, and work with you as your business grows and evolves, because opportunities face us all, and being able to adapt to that quickly, and have that all planned out. And we take you through something that we've learned recently is, rather than trying to go in there and fix everything in one go, we'll put a nice 12-month plan together, especially from the security point of view. If the staff aren't engaged and don't believe in what we're doing, then you're not going to get the benefit from it. You put all the technical things in place that you want, but if your staff and your team aren't involved and invested in that, then they're not worth it, because someone's still going to click on the wrong link.
100%. Everyone needs to be invested in it. Everyone needs to be on the same page.
And by doing that over the 12-month rollout, we've got the time to communicate with your team directly, as opposed to it being sort of one person then feeding it back down. We can communicate, and we have we've invested in tools to make that sort of an enjoyable and easy process, so that you can grow safely, so you don't have that downtime of sort of a security breach, but also have the productivity from the right tools and the right equipment for what your business needs.
From the right business as well.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much for coming to see me today, Simon. Really appreciate it. And I won't play the music. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you.